Julie Cliff, professional organiser at Space and Time. Thanks for joining me. Today I have a special guest with me, my dear friend Lisa Stafford from AJ Stafford Property Services. Hello Lisa, how are you?
Julie, I'm great, thanks. How are you?
Great, thank you. Thanks so much for joining me, talking about your business and what you do and how it's a little bit different, that people may not have heard of a service such as yours. You're a property advisor. Can you tell us a little bit about what a property advisor is for a start?
Yeah, so typically I'm a vendor advocate. But I use the word property advisor because I think it's just a little bit more simpler to understand. So I come from a real estate background. I'm actually a fully licensed real estate agent, believe it or not. And whilst I started at the very bottom and I've worked my way up, down, around and through pretty much every single department that there is in real estate, I got to a point where I decided that I could create my own business because I noticed that there was a real gap in the level of service that was being provided to sellers, and particularly female sellers that were needing to sell their house due to circumstance or a time in their life where there was a lot of pressure being put on them. And it's just that lack of service that is provided because a lot of real estate agents just don't get it. So I feel very passionate about helping those clients in particular. And I just wanted to make a difference. So I created my business where I can help them get prepared, and not only themselves and their home, but get presented and to generally get the best outcome and get the best price so that can allow them to move on.
That's fabulous. Such a one-stop shop for them to be able to access all your knowledge, to be able to get so many things done that we need to when we're selling our homes.
Yeah, absolutely. So important.
But what's the main benefit, would you say, of people using a service such as yourself?
Well, just to have that professional that is working independently for the seller, and whilst agents say and claim that they do that, there's a bit of a conflict of interest there, because when you think about it, the agent is forming the relationships with the buyers that come through, and you want them to do that because that's how they then negotiate with those buyers. But so many times I speak to so many people that have had bad dealings with real estate agents because of this. They get to a stage through the campaign where they feel like, well, hang on a minute, who are you working for? Are you working for me or are you working for the buyer? And there's that real conflict of interest. And I guess, sometimes that can be one of the main reasons why agents do have a bad reputation. So I guess, look, the agents I work with, and trust me, there are still good agents out there, but the agents that I work with, it's important to work as a team. I kind of make sure that they're held accountable for what they are saying that they can provide and can do for the client, but I pretty much hold the seller's hand the whole way through and allow them to have all the information so that they can make informed decisions when they need to. And there's kind of like no surprises or no rugs being pulled out from underneath them throughout that process.
Oh, yep, so important. And as I said before, just great to have you there as a sounding board for anything that comes along. And as you said, you're there the whole journey, and you're solely focused on them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess too, the unique thing about what I do and the service that I provide is that I actually don't charge the client that I work with. I charge the agent a shared commission or in conjunction with setup. Yeah. And, this is quite standard in real estate terms. There's even a statement of commission sharing for that exact purpose, because it's done, often. So, and it works. Fair. It's very similar to a mortgage broker type of setup. So, that's a bonus.
Yeah, great. Good. And we've worked together with a few clients that you're helping sell their home, and I come and help them declutter for sale. And you have a fabulous approach to decluttering for sale. Can you tell us your main things that you have advised me to then work with the client, and then I go and work with all my clients in the same way? What's your approach?
Thanks, Julie. Yeah, look, I always recommend that when you're selling your house, to declutter to sell is very different. So we're going to be moving home, and because we will be selling the house and we will be moving house. So here's your opportunity to start that packing process now. So categorize your items into one of three. The items that are going to stay in the house throughout the sales campaign. So these are your, back to the basics. These are your key items, such as your bedside tables, your dining table, your lounge suite, and we can work with those. The next category are the items that you want to keep and take to that next home, but aren't necessarily, going to be used throughout the sales campaign. So these are the items that we pack in boxes and we store them either on site in the garage, which is fine, or off site if need be. And if you've got that, that's great. And the third category are those items that we're all guilty of, those items that we just don't want in our lives anymore. The things we don't want to take to the next house, and we certainly don't want them in the home throughout the sales campaign because we want to get the best outcome. So now is the time that we remove them. We donate them, we recycle them, but we remove them from the home and we remove them from your life because you don't need them anymore. And it's just going to, it's probably the one thing you can add value to your home without spending any money. And, it's proven, the less clutter that's in the home and the more you can be able to allow the buyers to connect with that property, there's a process that you follow to get those great results. And that's
right.
Yeah,
less is definitely more in that instance.
Absolutely.
Yep. Yeah, and it's such a great opportunity to have that clear out and declutter, and as you say, have a really good think about what you do want to take with you to the next property, particularly if you're buying or have built something and it's brand new, and you don't want to take your daggy old whatever it might be along with you. It's a great opportunity to have a clear out and start afresh at the new property.
And so many clients I work with, once we've sold the house, they turn around and go, oh my God, I'm already packed up. I'm ready to move. All I've got to do now is just take those essential items, which is that's easy. It just makes it so much easier at the end. You're going to have to do it sooner or later. My recommendation is let's do it sooner. Let's do it now because it's going to add value and it's going to make life easy once you've sold.
Yep. And start nice and early so that they're not in a rush. Keep a great list of what's in each box on the box itself, and keep a little list. I think that really works well for people too, so they know where things are and get stuck into it. Or get somebody like me to come and help them, obviously.
Exactly. And it's just, it's a matter of having that plan in place. And, you come across this as well, Julie, where, you meet somebody and you show them that plan. This is their goal. This is what they want to achieve. That's why they've contacted you. But if you give them that plan and try to keep them accountable, it works. So
right. Yeah. So just to wrap up, what's the very first thing that people should be starting to consider if they're looking to sell their home?
Yeah, look, I guess you're going to get a swarm. Once you start to talk about selling your house, you're going to get a swarm of people that all of a sudden turn into experts and start giving you advice and information. Just remember that if you can identify who the decision makers are in this process, and get some professional advice. Because there's a lot of different ways of doing it, but at the end of the day, you've got to know that you're doing everything right so that you're ticking every single box, and that comes to being prepared, being presented, being able to price your property correctly, and being able to promote it correctly. And if you follow that process, then you will be able to get the results that you need, because it's always going to come down to supply and demand. You just want to make sure that the demand out there sees your property. So the buyers get to see your property, and it needs to stand out in this market.
Excellent. Thank you. Thanks so much for all that advice. Where can people get in touch with you, Lisa?
Yeah, thanks. So my website is ajstafford.com.au. I'm also on social media at aj_Stafford. Or you can give me a call anytime. I love a chat. 0402 122 671.
Fabulous, and it would certainly be well and truly worth people's time and energy to pick up the phone and have a chat. Always great to get one advice from you, and as you say, start off with some good advice rather than Mr. Google being the expert. They would really.
I know. It can be a little bit of a rabbit warren too, can't it? When you start to Google something and then 2 hours later you go, oh, what was I trying to find out? And now I'm onto a recipe on how to make marmalade.
That's right too. Thanks so much for joining us, Lisa. I'm sure that's going to be so helpful for people. And thank you again.
Thank you, Julie. It was great.